Hello everyone. So this video is going to be about Toxoplasma gondii, stages, life cycle and host involved in this. Note Toxoplasma gondii is a intracellular obligate parasite belonging to a group of sporozoa. It is known to cause a deadly CNS infection, toxoplasmosis in an immunocompromised patient, whereas in immunocompetent patient patients are asymptomatic most of the time with a primary cervical lymphadenopathy or IMN features. Talking about the stages, we have three stages in which the toxoplasma can exist. We have two hosts. A definitive host is a feline animal, commonly a cat, which is domestic. Intermediate hosts are men and rodents or birds. The definitive host is where the sexual reproduction is going to occur, and intermediate host where the asexual reproduction and stages of asexual reproduction will be seen. There are two cycle phase. The one operating within the enteric system in the gut is known as enteric cycle, and the one operating outside is exo-enteric cycle. Talking about the three stages, we have trophozoite, tissue cyst, and oocyst. So the name toxon itself means comma shaped. So we have the trophozoites which are comma shaped. Okay, the anterior end is pointed whereas the posterior end is broad. The nucleus lies closer to the posterior end and is red, whereas the cytoplasm is blue when stained with Giemsa stain. Notice these are intracellular organisms, so these trophozoites, which are comma shaped, are going to undergo proliferation within the cell, and this process is known as internal budding. In cases of acute infection, the bodies try to limit the infection by forming a pseudocyst around these trophozoite. Okay, and when the trophozoite undergo rapid proliferation, it is known as tachyzoid. Okay, so rapidly proliferating trophozoid are what is known as tachyzoid. Now what happens when there is a chronic infection? The organ or the tissue is going to limit the infection by forming a proper cyst wall. So we have a tissue cyst that is formed, and these tissue cysts have trophozoid which are crescent in shape. Okay, these are more of crescent in shape, sorry, and these are present in muscle organs like cns, heart and lung and other tissues. Now notice these organisms that are present within a tissue cyst are slow multiplying form of the trophozoid, and these are known as bradyzoid. So we have two form. In an acute infection we have the form which is rapidly proliferating, that is tachyzoid. In a chronic infection we have a form that is slowly proliferating trophozoid, that is bradyzoid. And the third, notice these two forms, trophozoid and tissue cyst, both are present in intermediate host. Okay, because these are formed because of schizogony, that is asexual reproduction. Now we have oocyst that is present only in a definitive host because it is formed by gametogony, sporogony or sexual reproduction, say any one of them. Okay, so all three forms are in definitive host: oocyst, tissue cyst, sporozoid, sorry. But in a intermediate host, only the asexual form trophozoid and tissue cyst will be seen. Now this oocyst has a sporoblast in center, and this oocyst is only present in definitive host, we know. So these were bits about the stages. We already discussed we have two host and we have two cycle phases which we are going to go into now. So we already discussed the most common definitive host is our feline animal, and the domestic one is common is cat. Okay, so cat somehow is ingesting some of the tissue or a part of the muscle or brain of some animal like rodent or a bird that is infected, okay, and has a tissue cyst. So when the animal or the feline animal is going to intake this in the GIT of the feline animal, the tissue cyst is going to rupture and there is a release of bradyzoids, okay, in the small intestine. These bradyzoid are going to infect the cells, and these are intracellular organisms, so they will go intracellularly and go on multiplying there, forming a asexual stage, that is schizogony. And after that a sexual phase will arrive and there will be gametogeny. There will be formation of female gametocyte and male gametocyte. Fusion of them will form fertilization and result in formation of oocyst. Now notice this oocyst is going to be excreted in the feline animal feces, means cat is going to excrete this oocyst in the feces, which is a source of contamination of food, water, okay, in home or households if possible. So these oocysts initially are non-infectious, and they then when get into the soil they become infectious. This becomes, these feces in the soil become source of contamination of food, water and whatnot. Again, this oocyst has sporoblast in center, which is going to form two sporocysts, and these sporocyst, each sporocyst is going to form sporogonia. Each sporocyst will have four sporogonias, and finally we will have two sporocysts with four, each having four sporogonia, and this is what is known as mature oocyst. A mature oocyst has two sporocysts with each having four sporogonia, and this is known as infective form of this toxoplasmosis. Okay, what happens actually is these mature cysts when ingested is going to repeat this cycle. Okay, this cycle is what is known as enteric cycle, this part of the cycle. What else can happen is that these infective form and the feces in the soil are going to contaminate the food and water, and these form can also be present in, these can be also present in undercooked meat. Okay, these tissue forms, and these are going to be part of exo-enteric cycle. That is, these contaminated food water along with the tissue cyst are going to form an exo-enteric cycle. The contaminated food and water will be a source of sporozoid. Okay, and undercooked meat will be a source of tissue cyst that is going to release bradyzoid. So both of these sporozoid and bradyzoid, consider yourself in this cycle. Now this was the cycle that was operating in the domestic animal. Now is the entry of man. So here is our man who is standing here and is consuming some contaminated food water or an undercooked meat. Through undercooked meat he is getting tissue cyst, and through contaminated food and water he is getting an infective form, that is matured oocyst. Matured oocyst is going to release sporozoid and bradyzoid are going to be released by tissue cyst, and this is going to happen in small intestinal mucosa. The sporozoid and bradyzoid in small intestinal mucosa are going to form the rapid proliferating form of the trophozoid. Because of the acute infection, now there is going to be tachyzoid formation, rapid proliferation, and these tachyzoid finally are going to form tissue cyst. This is what is happening in an exo-enteric cycle. Okay, notice this is where the problem start, when in small intestine we have formation of lot of tachyzoid, because these tachyzoids are rapidly proliferating, forming a pseudocyst, and these are what are going to travel in lot of places if the patient is immunocompromised, like in brain. When it travels in brain, it is going to cause encephalitis, and the main feature is main place where it is going to go is in the brain stem, and it will present with altered sensorium most commonly. It can also go into the pulmonary circulation, and in the myocardium it can cause myocarditis and cardiac tamponade. So these were bits about the toxoplasmosis. Hope you liked it. Thanks for watching.